Hi everyone and welcome to another Skyrim mod feature, episode 39. First up we have two mods by the same mod author, and I've grouped them here today because they're pretty much aimed towards the same path, and that's to becoming a very good Necromancer. First up we have the Reanimation sword, which when striking any dead NPC or creature in the game will turn them into a zombie for a certain period of time, whereby they'll do your bidding until they turn into a pile of ash. It's a very useful sword, and as you can imagine, if you're attacking an opponent with it, it'll become very handy indeed for becoming a Necromancer type character. The next is the Reanimation arrows, which do the same sort of thing. You'll need to fire these though at a dead enemy or a dead NPC. You can't use the arrows to kill someone and on the kill shot become a zombie, which we'll see with this scene here. You actually have to wait until they've died and then hit them with the arrow for them to turn. However, with the sword, obviously, with the amount of swings you'll do, you'll probably turn them into a zombie before they fall on the ground, which can be very useful for Necromancer type characters. And it's definitely worth a try if you're making that sort of build. Next we have two texture mods from the same mod author, one of which has actually made the hot files quite recently. The first I'm going to look at is this one, which changed the textures of the bird's nests and does make them look more realistic than the vanilla ones do in game. To demonstrate the new textures in this video, I've used the chicken nest and the generic bird nest, both of which I spawned in using the console, and with these before and after shots here we can see just how much the new textures improve the individual twigs in the nest. They look really a lot refined compared to the original, and here with this nest you can especially see the difference. There is a different texture here on the egg as well, but there is an available option which will leave that egg as the same texture as the vanilla one. It really is worth looking at this, especially if you like refining all the textures in game. It is one that's slightly overlooked in my opinion, and is well worth trying out for yourself in game. The next texture replacer from this mod author is one that looks to improve the textures in the cook pot, which you'll find in many areas across Skyrim. Here we can see the new texture, and we can actually see individual pieces of the stew or whatever is cooking over the fire. It really is a vast improvement over the vanilla texture, which we have up on screen now, and as it goes over you can see there is a clear difference, and it looks so much better than the vanilla texture, and it's definitely worth checking out for yourself in game. You'll be very impressed with how good this texture looks over the vanilla one, and again, if you like refining all the textures in game, this is a must have. So going with the same theme of two mods from one mod author, the next two mods look to fix some of the idle animations in game in terms of weapon wielding. Now this is my character here, and they have their sword on back, as you can see, and it has some animation sets which allow you to draw the sword from back quite nicely, and it looks pretty realistic in game. However, flicking to first person, I'm now drawing and resheathing the weapon at the hip, which is obviously very immersion breaking and just looks a little bit messy in game, especially looking how smooth that animation is. So with this mod applied, I can still draw the weapon nicely in third person from the back, nice smooth animations, and now in first person I can still draw the weapon from the back. Now what's happened here is the mod author has replaced the one-handed draw in first person with the one that you'll see for two-handed weapons, and it does work quite well. It is a little bit clunky when you're wearing a shield, which we'll see in a second, but it does have a very nice effect and works seamlessly with all the other animations. So here we are with a shield equipped as well, so I'm going to resheath the weapon here, and we can see that's quite smooth and quite realistic, but drawing does have a kind of a weird effect. The way I like to think about it is you've got your shield on your back and you've drawn your shield first before your sword, and thereby the shield is already in your hand, and it does work quite well and is definitely a vast improvement over drawing the weapon from the hip. It just looks a lot more realistic and works a lot better for me in my character setup, and if you have the same as me, it may be a mod you're willing to look at and try out for yourself. So the next mod from this mod author looks to fix the idle animations of the Greatswords. Now as you can see here, I have a Greatsword equipped in first person, and it's not moving at all, it's very static. Now these weapons are very heavy, and you would expect your character to be wavering slightly while wielding it, or at least having it drawn. It's very unrealistic to not even be affected by the weight of this sword, and so this mod author has put a little fix in for you to add some wavering to the sword when drawn. So what the mod author has done is they've replaced the animation for the two-handed greatsword with the animation that you'd find with warhammers and battle axes, thereby giving you this nice wavering effect, which you can see now on screen, and it is a lot more realistic than the vanilla setup. It just gives you a lot more feeling of actually carrying a heavy weapon drawn like this. So if you've always been put off by the fact that the two-handed greatsword is stationary and it's a setup that you use quite frequently, this may be a mod that you're looking for. And for me, even though I don't wield two-handed greatswords often, this is definitely something I'll be continuing to use in my setup from now on. This next mod is a small part of a much larger scale mod, and it's aimed at bringing Katarina from the League of Legends into Skyrim. In the future it will be a much larger mod with quests and new items added, but for now you'll just find Katarina's sword added to the game, and it's actually craftable with the forge and temperable as well. It's a very nice looking sword indeed, and looks like it will wield quite a bit of damage. There is fantastic detail down the centre of the blade. It's really nicely engraved and woven into the steel itself. It looks really quite nice, and I definitely recommend, if you're a fan of League of Legends, to try this mod out and keep it tracked as well for the future updates that are coming to it. As you can see here, this is the detail that I'm on about down the centre of the blade. It looks absolutely fantastic and it's really nicely done. I know quite a lot of people as well that mod Skyrim are very big fans of collecting weapon mods, and this is definitely one you should look at and maybe add to your collection. Next up, I have a retexture for the weapon plaques that you'll find in many houses and player homes across Skyrim, but it's not actually a retexture of sorts. It actually comes from adjusting the vertex of the mesh rather than the texture itself. There are 4 colours to choose from here. There is chocolate, fern, bluebell and lead. Obviously the vanilla texture is a nice bright red colour, and we will see some before and afters here. These again are meshes, and the way that they're positioned on the mod author's download section means that you will have to replace them manually or repackage them in zip files in order to add them by Nexus Mod Manager or by Mod Organizer. The new colours will only affect the vanilla placings of weapon plaques and ones that aren't modified by any player homes. For example, Eleonora's player homes usually have their own texture and own style of weapon plaque, and this will not affect those. My favourite colour here is the bluebell version. I really am a fan of that deep royal blue. However, obviously it's down to user preference, and you do have 4 nice colours to choose from, and they're all suited to their own different settings and whatever sort of style you prefer. It's definitely worth checking this mod out. Remember, you will have to manually install it like I said previously, but it's fairly simple to do, and if you've been using mods for a long time you'll definitely know how to do this by now. So that brings me to the end of episode 39 of another Skyrim mod feature. If you've liked any of the mods that I've shown in this video, please do head along to the mod authors pages to check them out there. And obviously remember to endorse these mods if you use them in your own game. And as always guys, thanks for watching, drop a like if you like the video, and I'll see you next time.